as you enter our room, if you can add in the chat your name, what year you are at St. Mike's. I'll say it again later, but welcome everybody. We'll give you all a minute to get in. And if anyone on the here wants to write in the chat already, you can too. Awesome. Nice to meet you, Mariah. 2022, exciting. Welcome. As you join, please share your name, your interest in tonight's panel, your affiliation. Great. Thanks, Greg. Hi, Jensen. Nice to see you, Susie, class of 86. Awesome to have you here with us. Hi, Sydney. Nicole, welcome. Recent alumni. That's great. Alumna, I should say. We'll just give everybody about another minute. Settle in. Good to have you. I'm Marianne Strayton, and I'm an alumni from St. Mike's, class of 1998. I'm currently an elementary education, and currently an interventionist in an elementary school, an elementary teacher. And tonight, I'm so thrilled to have three main panelists with us, and who will all introduce themselves and what their current role is, as well as Greg Toby, who's also on the alumni board here at St. Mike's with me. So I'm glad you're here with us too, Greg. If the four of you can each introduce yourself and your current role, that will give the folks that are joining us a chance to hear where we're all at the moment. And as we do, please continue to tell us in the chat your name, what year you are, and anything you're interested in, whether your personal interest or something you have a question for the panel for us tonight. Thanks. Adam, why don't we start with you?
I appreciate the opportunity to go first. Thank you first and foremost for letting me come and share my story. My name is Adam Johnson. I am a 2003 St. Mike's alum. I am born and raised in Washington, D.C. I was fortunate enough to be on the men's basketball team for my 4 years in school, so I was really thankful to be a student athlete. After school, though, I went and joined the private sector, and I worked at a Fortune 500 company for the first, I guess, 8 years of my career, and then from there, I transitioned to business school because I thought that was the path for me to then go to work at our corporate office in Chicago, and so I thought that was my plan until I was in business school, and I really got the opportunity to dive into some corporate social responsibility. So I really got just really enthralled with the thought of how do companies give back? How do we make our communities better? And one of the biggest ways that I saw to make our community better was through education. If you are able to help children get the education they need, that all communities can be self-sufficient and all communities can thrive. And so from there, I switched what I wanted to do, and I started looking for jobs in the education sector. Ultimately ended up working at Teach for America in Las Vegas. And I became our director of development. I worked to support, to bring on more teachers, and I did our government policy, and I did our communications. But I also wanted to figure out, how do I make more of an impact here in the community where I live? And so from there, I became the executive director at a school named Democracy Prep. We are a charter school that has 22 schools across the country, 7,000 students across 5 states. And so I'm enjoying the opportunity now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. Heather, want to share a little bit about your story?
Sure. So my name's Heather Vonada. I graduated with Adam in 2003. I was a mathematics major, and then I got my license in secondary ed. One of my favorite things that I did at St. Mike's was I studied abroad my junior year in Hong Kong. And then I went back after I graduated and taught English in China again for another 6 months. And so that opened a whole door of like my love of travel that I didn't know I had until I went to St. Mike's. So after I came back from China, I actually got hired from Woodstock to Woodstock Union High School on the phone while I was in China. And I have been here for the past 17 years, teaching grades 9 through 12. And my favorite part of my job is my students. I tell everyone that I live in a bubble and I teach in a bubble because I have the world's best students. We have a ton of fun, and my favorite part about teaching is letting all of them discover their inner mathematician, because we know that everybody is a mathematician. It's just we don't get a chance to discover our inner mathematician. So my favorite job is to get all of them to discover their inner mathematician. And in 2017, I was super excited to get, I was with Marianne as well. I was the Vermont representative for the Presidential Award of Teaching for Excellence in Teaching Mathematics and Science, and got to go to the White House last year to receive my award with Marianne. I actually met her there, which was super fun. And so that was a really great honor. And here we are, and it's been really fun to be able to be part of this panel.
Thanks so much, Heather. What was neat was there were 3 of us from St. Michael's College that were all given the award that year. And there's been other past alumni from St. Michael's College in other states even that have received that award, which just says a lot about St. Mike's and what we get to grow it in together there. Thanks so much. Kimberly.
Yeah, go St. Mike's. Well done. I'm actually wondering, like, oh, did I interview Adam or Heather? I worked in the admission office from 1997 to 2001, and one of my territories was Washington, D.C. So I'm guessing I would have remembered both of you along the way. But so I graduated from St. Mike's in 1997. I was an education and psychology major. I went into St. Mike's completely thinking I wanted to major in elementary ed, and then took a general psych class and fell in love with psychology. One of my favorite opportunities at St. Mike's was also, like Heather, studying abroad. So I studied in England, and I student taught while I was in England, and realized, you know what, being in front of a classroom full time is not what I wanted to do. So I came back to St. Mike's in the fall of my senior year, and I interned at the Lund Home, which is a program in Vermont for pregnant teens and their babies. So you help them through their pregnancy and help them as being young mothers. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed working with teenagers. Then upon graduating, I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I begged my way into the St. Mike's admission office and worked as an admission counselor for 4 years, traveling throughout the Northeast, meeting high school students, meeting guidance counselors, talking to guidance counselors about their job, and realizing that is exactly what I want to do. So then went to grad school at the University of Vermont and earned my master's degree in school counseling. I started in elementary school, but I knew my passion was really ultimately to work with high school students. And then along enter my boss from St. Mike's, Jerry Flanagan, who called me one day and said, hey, there's this high school in South Burlington called Rice Memorial High School, and they need a guidance counselor, and I think you should apply. You'd be perfect. And it's great, and it's just so similar to the St. Mike's community, and I've been there for 13 years and love it. I also love working with teenagers. They make me laugh every day, and it's just the best job in the world to just see their journey, be a part of their journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. It's so clear what a difference you're all making in the lives of the next generation, which is really awesome. And something that St. Mike's has as part of their mission statement, right? Do well and do good. And that's something that all 3 of you are really doing in different ways, which is cool. Greg, I know you're not a panelist, but it'd be great to just share who you are and your role in education as just another person that the folks can know in our alumni community.
Sure. So my name is Greg Tobey. I'm the class of 2007. I was a political science major, and I found my way into education a number of years after graduating. I have an MED in elementary education, and I currently work for the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in their student assessment office. So feel free to connect with me on SMC Connect or whatever, and I can answer some questions, but I'll leave it up to our wonderful panelists here.
Awesome. One question that had come in ahead of time from an attendee was about your pathway if you were not an elementary education major, getting into education. So Adam, that's certainly in your wheelhouse. What was that process like? And what do you take from the major you did have that you think is part of what informs you now and the work you do now? Or anything from St. Mike's that maybe is still supportive of your work now, even if it wasn't education?
Yeah, so I was a accounting and economics major and a business minor. So I came to school thinking I'm going to the job that's going to make me the absolute most money. And then I found that, money doesn't make you super happy always. So, but the skills that I took away from being an accounting major, an economics major, and a business major actually are really helpful. And they still help me today. My responsibility requires me to do a lot of strategic planning, helps do a lot of management of other people. And the skills that I was able to get through my business courses, through my finance classes, through my accounting classes have been really helpful for me. The reason I was able to actually make a transition from the business world into the education world is because I actually found a bridge role. And there are lots of these roles that exist, whether they're for nonprofit organizations or for Department of Educations or charter schools or districts. My role was specifically to go out and figure out how to tell the story of Teach for America to funders, and then help them realize why they wanted to invest in Teach for America. So I already had passion for education, had a passion for community, and then being able to figure out how to use business writing skills and some of the business strategy about how to find different donors was actually super helpful. And then because I had spent a lot of time learning about policy, I was really well equipped to go in and be our government affairs person and to help us figure out how do we work with state government agencies to position TFA to get government funding so that we can have a sustainable funding. So it really did, all of that foundational work really helped me do well. And then subsequently, I spent a lot of time talking to our program teams. So the time you spend developing yourself is actually really important too. So going into classrooms, understanding what good teaching looks like, going to PDs about teaching and learning so that you can get the requisite skills that you need. Today, my job requires me to go in and coach teachers. It requires me to go in and understand what good lesson plans look like. While that formal training, the skills that I picked up along the way have actually been really helpful. And I still spend a lot of time learning from people who do it a lot better than me. So we have a lot of veteran teachers on my team who I lean on heavily and I ask their opinions. And again, that comes with a lot of strong communication skills around how do I ask somebody to help me learn something when I'm their manager, and how do I build a team around me who can help do things that I can't do. So your skills that you pick up in school are going to be invaluable, even if you aren't an education major and don't decide to take the traditional path.
Can you talk a little bit about Teach for America so that folks know what it is if they haven't heard of it before?
Absolutely. So Teach for America is an organization whose mission is to ensure that one day all children have the opportunity to have an excellent education. And they do that by recruiting both traditional education majors and non-traditional education majors out of college, and then adults who are looking to provide at least 2 years in classrooms that are traditionally underserved. So often in communities where there's high poverty. Teaching in schools that really need strong teachers who are adaptable, flexible, really committed to providing opportunity to all kids, and most importantly, committed to thinking about what are the ways that I can solve problems for my students in front of me. I know Heather does this every day in her classroom, but we need more people like Heather. And unfortunately, there aren't enough people who are willing to go into classrooms across the country. And so TFA is finding folks in all sorts of organizations, whether they're college campuses or if you've been a waiter before and you really want to figure out how to give back to your community, providing you training to be able to do that, and then go into classrooms and commit to teaching for at least 2 years, and then earning a master's degree in education along the way. So It really is a great program to help folks, whether you're an education major or not, but you have a commitment to providing excellent opportunity for kids, providing equal education to all kids around our country. Those two things are in your heart. TFA is a great organization for you to explore.
Great. Thanks, Adam.
Absolutely.
I see Margaret has mentioned wondering about opportunities through the Peace Corps, but teaching English, she mentioned in Poland. Any thoughts on teaching in other countries or work outside of when you leave St. Mike's that's education centered? Heather or Kim? I know, Kim, you did a year of service after school that had to do with education as well, I think, right? But not
a full year. No, I did partial. I went down and did a trip to New Orleans, but I didn't spend a whole year there. Yeah. But I'll let Heather have that experience. Yeah. So I'll let Heather answer that.
Yeah, I don't even know how I found out about going to teach in China. I think I just found a website and contacted someone, and that country wants, like Americans to come over to teach English because they want it straight from the horse's mouth. So I found my way there, and it was a great experience. It was definitely a little like disorganized because I don't think that they were like as prepared as they thought they needed to be, but it was lovely and it was great. And so I think that at any point it was, it's totally worth going to teach abroad. Like, I'm really glad that I taught abroad first because it was 100% different than teaching here. I had classes of 80 and there's all sorts of great cultural things that is very different that I didn't know about. And it made me a better teacher to sort of see this before I jumped into my own classroom, because I did it before I started teaching my own classroom. So there it was.
And also that having that global perspective of education, I think, is also invaluable, and the opportunity to travel and to get to know another culture and bringing that knowledge into the classroom.
Just letting you know, those opportunities are really abundant. 3 of our strongest teachers have taught in China before they came here to Las Vegas. And then 2 of our teachers just left last year to go teach in China. So it's a very strong pipeline between the United States and China, if you're interested in teaching abroad.
And yes, the Catholic Volunteer Network abroad and nationally and internationally has lots of opportunities. So definitely look into that, whether you're not an education major and you're interested in it, or you are an education major. There's lots of opportunities right after college to do that other places. Awesome. I know another question that had come up, and I hope questions come into the chat. Please feel free to think about what's on your heart, what's burning in your mind that our panelists can help you with. But another question that had come up earlier today was around other opportunities in schools that may not be a teacher. And I'm curious, Kim, if you had looked at anything else besides counseling. And I know, Adam, you probably see some other roles too, as well as Heather. What other things have you come across that may be an opportunity to be part of an education system without necessarily being a general education classroom teacher?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the first thing, it seems obvious, but special educator, where you're often meeting with one-on-one with a student or a small group of students. You could be a guidance counselor, you could be a social worker within a school setting, speech language pathologist. So if you're really good with communication and want to help students with their own communication, that's another resource. Yeah.
Awesome. And I see Adam put some in the chat also. So hopefully folks are keeping their eye on that. Operations roles, college counselors, social workers.
Yeah, I would say the other thing I would look to as well, if you want to be close to a school, but you're not necessarily ready to go into a school. So I knew right from the start I couldn't do Heather's job and be a teacher. I don't have the skill or the acumen to be able to consistently get 14 to 18-year-olds to listen to me. My own 13-year-old doesn't listen to me, so I know I don't have that skill. But there are things that, there are always roles that schools need. We always need people who are willing to do, in particular, the operations roles are so critical to a school. I mean, Heather or Kim or anyone who's in a school can tell you that without strong operations, teachers can seamlessly not have to think about where's the printer or where's the paper or what's the bell schedule. If teachers don't have to think about those non-instructional things and can just focus on teaching, they can do their job 10 times better. And a great operations team really takes that burden off of the teachers. And so we found at our school that having a strong operations team is invaluable. So if you have a logistical brain and you're always putting together schedules and you're always thinking about how do I make something run more efficiently, absolutely think about how do you can either work at a school district or at an individual school site, but a strong operations teammate is just a godsend on a school campus.
Absolutely.
This is me raising my hand. So the other thing is I actually have a colleague who is another St. Mike's graduate. Her name is Kat Robbins, and she is our place-based coordinator. And so what she does is she works with teachers to provide like out of school opportunities. So when I went to her and was like, hey, Kat, we want to do a geometry project. I think I want to bring in like the bridges, like the covered bridges. She was like, okay, let's do this. And she was the one who was like, okay, we're going to take a field trip to these 3 covered bridges. I did some research on them. And I found actually one of the architects for it, and you'll meet with them. And so there's another opportunity where you can have a job in the school, but her job is to get teachers to be able to provide really awesome out of school opportunities. So whether students are going to the national park where we are to check out all sorts of natural life or build trails or things like that. There's so many cool opportunities that she provides without, educating our students in a classroom. So.
Yeah. And internship coordinators going along with that. Often high schools have a coordinator that's helping students to find internships or opportunities to learn about other careers. So that's another pathway. I just thinking about some of the seniors who might be on the panel, and I mentioned it earlier with Joey Flanagan literally calling me up and saying there's a job. If you are student teaching, get to know not only the teacher that you're working with, but other people in the building. Maybe there's administrators in the building, because that will come in handy when you are looking for jobs and you do need to network.
And that's a good point, that if you plan to move back to a certain area, whether it's where you live or where you want to live, if you have any connect area, or if you get connected to SMC Connect, there's probably education, folks in education roles from St. Mike's that are alumni in that area. So if you start connecting with them now, you can have a chance to go observe, even if it's just through Zoom these days, right? But make those connections and get a chance to be in those schools. That helps a lot with looking for that next position, and they'll remember you.
Absolutely. And I've had students come and just shadow me for a day, just to see, hey, I'm thinking about this role, would it be okay if and my high school's 10 minutes from St. Mike's. So, would it be okay to come over and just shadow and see what you do? Maybe not right now during this pandemic, but definitely in the future.
And one thing actually during the pandemic, there's a lot of schools where there's students that need someone to connect with them online because they're learning from home and their family can't help them as much, and they need an advocate, a volunteer, a person that can do some of that tutoring or extra help work that's hard to do in our current environment. So there's a lot of opportunities, even though they might be different than you're expecting, a lot of opportunities to get connected to school systems if you'd like. We just have about 4 minutes left of our time together. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat so we can get to them. But in the meantime, just know that all of us here on the panel are connected in SMC Connect, and our names are up here right underneath our pictures, so you can find us. Adam just put his email in also into the chat. So hopefully we can be a support to you. Your network is a lot bigger than the people you may know personally. All of the St. Mike's community is really rooting for you and here to be of support and assistance to you in any way, whether you're thinking about being at St. Mike's, you're a current student, or you've graduated. I know we have at least one alumna that's on the line tonight, which is great. So Katie has a question in the chat if anybody wants to field it.
I mean, the bottom line is for like classroom teaching is it's 99% passion and like 1% skill. So like, I love what I do. I love what I do. I love what I do. And I just work really hard to be the best at what I can do. So if there is something that you're passionate about, then go for classroom teaching, because it is, I think it's the best job that's ever happened. But, you know, like if your passion is not, you know, like if you're not passionate about it, like there is definitely something else out there for you. But if you want to be a classroom teacher, you've got to, it's because the kids see it. The kids know when you love what you do, and that's why you have success as a teacher, is because they see your passion.
And don't sell yourself short, Heather. Like you are skilled, and you can't keep captivating 17-year-olds without having a special talent. So that's for sure a skill.
It's a theater thing. I think teachers all have to be like theater, you know, have a theater talent. And Katie, so I'm not sure if you, at what point you joined the Zoom, but I am an education and psych major, and found my way into being a guidance counselor. I kind of wear a lot of hats. I'm a counselor, I'm a college counselor, but we also have student assistance counselors who are just counselors in the building. There's school social workers. So I would say feel free to reach out to me at any time, but also talk to different people who have a kind of a dual role in the school. And I actually think that, you know, I'm definitely biased, but I think all education majors should take some psychology. It's always going to help. Social emotional learning is important as well.
Probably the biggest thing out there right now that folks are talking about that has been underserved, you know, in some places, and hopefully
I think teachers play a key role in the social emotional welfare of kids. You hold them in your hands. It's amazing.
So I think we're going to get ready to wrap up at the moment. If anyone has a last minute question while I'm saying goodbye, feel free. But I mostly want to thank Adam and Heather and Kim for joining us tonight, and for just being such a big part of this St. Mike's community.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
It was fun.
Thanks. Reach out. Make sure you find us on SMC Connect.
Yes. Whoa.